Okay, just wanted to double check, make sure everything was going. All right, so I already have my screen set up and everything else here. So I have a few things that I need to show you, and I want you to kind of take a look at my the phone video here. So you can see I actually burned 2 images on the screen because I'm working with images, I think that were like 5 inches, 5x5s here. And you can see the registration marks that I have. Those are burned into the screen so that when I print it, they print actually on the paper. And then when the image is all done, then I can cut or tear the paper down inside and leave the rest of that behind.
Your economical
What? I'm sorry?
Your economical approach?
Well, so the question was, is this an economical approach? No, it's not actually, because there's going to be a lot of wasted paper on this. But because I'm using a large sheet of paper here, I'm only going to get 1 5x5 image printed on this entire sheet of paper right here. So this is 11 by 15. I'm going to put a 5x5 image right about here. If I was planning and if I thought about planning, I could have put 2 of the same color on one, pulled it, and then I could get 2 photos on each page with the registration. The challenge with that was that making sure that everything, these 2 were in the same exact spot so that when I went to print on the next one, that they were in the same spots all the way around. Go ahead.
So is this more of an efficient method, or like what are your, your reasons?
Well, so I mean, I could have used a smaller sheet of paper certainly, but this is what I ended up doing. So I'm just using paper that I had on hand.
Got it.
You could go smaller, but you know, if you can afford the larger paper and tear down, that's always my preference, because then I can tear it down to whatever size I want, or leave it large as well. So you can see I have my marks here. I also wrote on there my yellow. This one is going to be the magenta. And you can see here that I have a piece of plastic taped over the top of my magenta. So I can put my ink here and pull it down without getting ink through the screen onto the paper in that spot. All right. Then when I'm all done with the yellow, I'm actually just going to flip this up, tape it, turn the screen around, and then pull down on the magenta. So the order that we're going to go today is, and the order that you should do this in if you're doing 4 colors, is go yellow, magenta, then go cyan, and then you go put black on top. So yellow, magenta, cyan, and black. So we're working in order of like the, what do I say? Working in order of like the intensity of those colors as they go through. All right. I should turn this to speakers. So I'm recording this. I want this one. See how that goes. May not be able to do that. All right. Then on the screen back here, you can see I have the black printed up here, the same thing, and then the cyan. So I'm able to do all 4 of these on just 2 screens. If you only have 1 screen, then what you do is you print one, and then you wash it out, and then you expose the next color, and then you wash that one out, and then expose it, so on and so on. If you have the option of getting your hands on a couple extra screens, it'll make the process go a lot faster. Are there any questions about this setups yet, or so far? Anyone at home? All right. So the very first thing I want to show you is that I need to, I've got my pucks on here already. I just have to move them around as I'm printing. And then the next step here is just to put ink on the screen, and then start printing. So let's get moving on this. Set this up over here. Not sure how this is going to work very well, but for those of you who want to see, want to come on over and get closer to this, you're welcome to come on over. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit so you can kind of see what's happening. See if I can get this out of the way. No, not going to be able to do it. Okay. All right. I have my inks back here on the table so that they're all set out and ready to go. I have squeegees that I'm going to be going through and using the whole way through. I've got my Bondo scrapers. I learned from Tuesday to get all this stuff set up. So hopefully I've got everything. So I have, what's that?
The pucks.
The pucks are already taped to the bottom of both of these screens. So I have my halftone yellow, I have my halftone magenta, my halftone cyan, and my halftone blacks. Those are, these tubs will be in the ink up on with all the other inks. And you're welcome to use that. The reason that they're in these small ones is just because the other ones come in like 2-gallon pails. And so when these get empty, we'll just put some more in so that it's easy to have these out here and use it that way. These will be up there, and I've written on the front of these and on the tops, do not mix. So don't mix in any other colors with this. This process will requires a special kind of ink. So if you mix in any other kind of yellow or magenta or cyan into this, it has a different kind of chemistry. So there's an extender that's mixed into this that allows those colors to have just a little bit of opacity. So when they're printed on top of it, you can see the colors on the, that are underneath it. If you use any of the other ones in there, especially the ones that say opaque, it's just going to cover it completely. So you want to make sure that if you are interested in continuing this process in your own home studios, that you get process or you get halftone inks. Otherwise, you're going to end up just printing on top of the thing, on top of the color, and you're not going to be able to see through it. So I have my paper here, and I've got tabs already connected to them, and I'm putting my registration pins on to have everything ready. So once I start inking, then I can get moving with it right away. I'm using my screen tape here in order to tape down my registration pins. This tape is really comes in really handy because it is really durable and it lasts quite a while. It keeps its tack. So I'll be able to use these 2 pieces of tape probably through the whole process without having to put new tape down. So I just have to be kind of gentle with it as I'm putting it, as I'm going through this process. The first step here is to get the yellow out. I'm going to, for gloves today, and here's the halftone yellow. I'm going to get a couple paper towels just in case something happens here. All right. See if I can get my finger in underneath and open that. Ooh, it's a tough one. There we go. Tight lid.
Unfortunate.
I can just see me doing this and throwing that all over the place. And all of you are in the splash zone, so you'd all get it too. All right, here we go. And I just pour a thin bead across here. I'm doing, I think I have 6 sheets here and do 6 print run on this, so I don't need a whole lot. And remember, you always end up at the end, you scrape whatever's left back into the pail anyway. All right. Out of the way so I don't have to worry about it. This is good size. All right. So I'll flood this, and then I will, I'll print onto the plastic. I'll position my paper where I think it needs to go. Excuse me, so I have it positioned on centered left to right, and as low on the paper or as high on the paper as I can get it. So quick flood coat, push it back up. And quick print. There is, this squeegee has some lines going through it. That might be problematic. Okay, so let me pull this around and turn this around. You can see there's the print, very light on this right now. So I'm just going to move the paper around just to kind of get it into position. I think it'll be a good spot. That looks about right. Remembering that I'm going to tear the paper down anyway afterwards, so I'm just trying to get it so that it's not close to one of the edges. And let's see if I can get that turned back around. There we go. Then I'm going to use these tape, the screen tape, and I'm just going to tape down the registration pins. When you tape down the registration pins, push down in between the pins, there's that loop. Push down in it, that'll give it a nice sturdy seal or seat on it. Hold it in tight, then move your paper out of the way, your the overlay. I'm just going to lay it right here. I've learned that it's easier to clean it up off the table than it is off of a piece of newsprint. So I'm just going to do this, start printing. There we go. This side of the squeegee doesn't have any of those lines. Pull it up. There's the yellow. Not much to look at yet. And then it's because I have the pins aren't moving at all. Registration tabs, everything is going to get printed essentially in the same exact spot, which is essential when it comes to registering this. There it is again. So you can see, like, if you've done screen printing already, if you've done some of your own images and watching these demos, you know that the majority of the time is spent getting ready and prepping this in order to print, and the actual printing process is pretty quick, pretty fast. All right. Couple more to go. Now, I need to talk about what's coming up next here. So I'm going to finish this off. I have one sheet left to do. And then the next step is to clean the screens out. And you want to do that no matter whether you are getting ready to go on to the next color, if you want to save it, or if you're never going to use this image again afterwards. The reason you want to clean the screens out is you don't want this ink to dry in the mesh. If it dries in the mesh, it can get clogged up. And then it can be really difficult to power wash the ink out, or impossible. Sometimes there's just no way you're going to get it out. So when you're cleaning, I'm just going to pull the yellow ink down to this end, so it's off that what do I say, that acetate that I had covering it. Just kind of get this down here into a pool and pull it off, put it in here. Working over my screen, so if I drip at all, it's going to end up coming back down onto the screen, and I can just scoop it up. I'm also scooping over this image right here, and essentially what I've just done is backfilled it with this so that it will keep the ink from drying out, help to prevent it from drying out too fast on me too. Scrape the squeegees. I don't think that was on the, just in the frame there. All right. Once I have all that squeeged back in there, try and clean off the outside a little bit. Put this over here. Put it out of the way. And then the only thing you have to do for cleaning here is just use a little bit of Windex. Then put the squeegee and the Bondo scraper in the sink for now. Put it out of the way. And in terms of cleaning up, the best process, the best method here is to wipe, get all of this really, like all the big pools out first. If you don't get the big pools out first, and you're doing all of this fine kind of cleaning of the screen, when you come to one of those big spots and you bring a big pool of fresh ink over the top of a space that you've already cleaned out, it's kind of frustrating. So just start with that. And once you get to that, get all the big stuff off, just use a fair amount of Windex in the open screens. Don't forget your registration holes. I'm working on top of the screen or the plastic here so that I can kind of get that all that dried ink soft again so it wipes off easily. Then I need to hit the back side of this. When you're using dark colors, so some of you have seen on your screens where there's actual images left on your screens, it's because it was a dark ink that was used and it stained it. So that can happen. The next step here is to get ready to put the magenta. So I want to make sure it's all yellow here. And you can see as I'm doing this, I'm just pulling the plastic that was covering the magenta. I'm just going to pull it up here and lay it down on top of the yellow. Once I have it up there, I'm just going to use a little bit of tape to keep it from sliding down. Got a little bit of yellow ink on it. I want to make sure that I get this off before I bring new stuff onto the work surface. And then I'm ready to start the next color. To make this easy for myself, I'm going to just flip the screen around and bring the other image closer to me. There we go. Turn it around. On some yellow ink I didn't see before.
You also use your cup, right?
What's that?
You also use your cup.
That's right. So the next step will be to move these out of the way. Get this locked into place again. Taking the pucks on the bottom here. And then I need to take the tape off of those registration pins. I'm just going to put them over to the side. Cutting this tape with dull scissors is a pain in the butt. I'm trying not to have to do that at all here. Now I'm getting ready to do the magenta ink here. So what I'll do is I'm going to assemble all of my papers again so that they're ready to start, so that they're ready to go once I start printing. Put the magenta down, flood it, and then just repeat this process. Are there any questions?
No question, but I've done it in chapter 9. Just want to use that instead of dull.
Really what?
I've done it in chapter 9. You want to use that instead of your dull. The latest one.
Yeah, it's the sharp scissors are a must. The X-Acto knife can be kind of hard to wield because you got to hold it tight as you're pulling it, but whatever works, whatever you're most comfortable with, definitely do that. So here is my yellow print, and they're all pretty dry already. If I touch this, I doubt it would smudge at all. But both of my images were facing up. When I exposed these screens, I should have had one of them facing up and the other one facing the opposite direction, so that when I put this paper in, I'm always working from this edge. Like I can slide it in. But this one is now upside down compared to this, so I'm going to have to put my paper in this way and slide it in under and reach for my pins. So it's not the best, and I should have thought about that when I was exposing the screen. But I did, so I'm kind of stuck in this moment right now. The next thing that we're going to do with this is I need to put on I need to tape some handles to my paper. And so I'm going to tape these to the back side of my paper, and then this is going to allow me to push the paper back and forth this way. This one's going to allow me to push it back and forth this way without lifting up the plastic once it's printed on. So I'm just going to put some masking tape across the back. This masking tape is, I'm taping it on the outside of the image. So even if it tore the paper a little bit, when I take it off, it wouldn't be a big deal, but this masking tape is pretty light duty. So I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about it. I just wanna make sure that I have this set like that on the back side of the paper. The only time you need to do this is just on the first time when you first register the new color. And so once this is done, then we won't have to worry about it anymore. And I'm just going to kind of push it close to where it needs to be, because I can see underneath the screen where it's kind of close to it, just to get it in the general area of that. All right, so we're doing magenta. Here we go. I grabbed small squeegees. They're just not quite big enough for the image and the registration points, and I want to make sure that I get all the registration marks in there. Just pouring a bead of magenta. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. It's a gorgeous color. Hi. All right. I'm ready to print on the plastic so I can get my registration marks. I'm just going to flood coat. Print that down. Set my squeegee up there, get it out of the way. Now I'm going to bring the camera of my phone around so you can kind of see what's happening here. If you want to come around and take a look, go ahead and come on over this way. So I didn't do too bad of a job just eyeballing it, but it's as a photograph, you wouldn't want that. Like, it's just going to look horrible when I do that. So you can see my registration marks right there. So I'm going to, as I push and pull on these, I'm getting some of those lines. Jessica, could you film that?
Is that yellow from the previous plastic?
The yellow is actually on my paper.
Right, okay.
So I'm just pulling this and pushing it on the, I guess, the tabs here, the handles, just to get this as close as I can to those bullseyes, like that. And once I'm in this spot, once I feel like this is the perfect space, come around and take a look at it. Try not to bump the tabs is all. You're doing that. Once I feel like it's in a great spot, then I'm going to hold the plastic down just so that the paper doesn't move underneath. And take my tabs back down. All right, I'll get this out of the way. And then I can grab that. Thank you. All right, so everything is lined up. Here we go. I've got my paper and the tabs and the pins up at the top. And then the next step is just to move this plastic out of the way and start the printing with this. So take the block out. Moment of truth right here. Okay, if you can, I'm going to take the first look here. All right. All right, so as we printed on this, all right. Come on over and take a look at it, what it looks like here. So the tabs are off just a tiny bit, but I think in terms of the photograph, I think we'll be okay. So you can see the magenta on top of the yellow creates kind of an orange. If you want to come around and take a look at that. And then let me put this back up here. Then the next step is just to power through the next, however many I have. I can't remember, there's 5 more, 6 more here to go. I'm going to take the tabs off the back of this first of all. Put these back over here. And time to go. Time to go. So as you are printing through these first 2 colors, kind of not a lot of exciting things happening. I didn't quite get that one. There we go. But when we get to that 3rd color, when we put the cyan down on top of it, everything really starts to come into focus. When you look at your transparencies, you'll notice that the yellow transparency is actually the darkest transparency. That's because you need to have a lot more yellow in your image than you do of any of the other colors. And it just has to do with the strength of the yellow, right? So as we go through these, and as you're looking at your transparencies, you can get to a point where it's counterintuitive. You're looking at your transparency and the yellow is darker than your black transparency. But just remember, you don't need a lot of black to pull things together. And that's the last one right there. This one had a lot of magenta on it.
So yes, you went double.
I did double on it, but it was because one of those did not get a full pull on the magenta. So I was wondering if it was the ink was drying in the screen. I didn't want that to happen. So I'm going to pull all this out. Whoops. I need to put this back in underneath it. That way, as I'm cleaning it, I'm not going to get ink all over the work surface. All right, so we have the two colors right now. Because I'm going to be cleaning this out right away. I'm not going to worry about thorough cleaning here. I just want to make sure that I get all the ink out of the mesh, so it doesn't get frozen in there, so that I can move right on to the next two colors here. We do need to clean up the work surface here. I may have to go get some new towels too. Let's see. So I'm just going to concentrate on the open spot here, because I'll be able to wash this out as soon as we're done. I just don't want any of this ink to block in any of the mesh. And this is why I'm wearing gloves, because the yellow isn't too bad, but as soon as you get into magenta and cyan, those colors of inks will stain your skin. You wanna- All right. Out of the way. Move this out of the way. And I'm just going to move this out of the way so nobody touches it.
So that's a fairly good clean. That's what you're looking for.
That's good enough for right now. If I was in a demo hurry, like demonstration hurry, I'd clean the whole thing off.
Right, but you got the big blobs.
I got all of the ink out of the screen, which is the important part. So when I go to wash it, I know that I'm not going to have blocked mesh.
So
So you want to make sure that you have that you get all of the ink out of the mesh, because you don't want to come back to a screen that has blocked mesh and then not be able to use it because there's a couple blocks in the middle, and that's where your image is going to be. I'm just getting the acetate all cleaned off. The next step here is to change screens. And I'm going to be working with the cyan first. Turn it around so I'm working with cyan. I'll drop the cyan on top of this, and once the cyan comes into, gets printed on top of this, then you'll be able to see the image really well. There we go. This screen's a little bit taller than the other one. It's a little bigger. Okay. Putting down my acetate so that I can print without worrying about printing on top of or printing through the paper on through the black, which was, I'm just blocking that image out. And there we go. Got my puffs in there already. Thank you, appreciate it. So I'm in the sink. Spreading the ink out so it's a little more even all the way across. Try to wipe it off as much as I can. Put that there for now. Need to clean the needed to clean the squeegee off here. Make sure that there's no magenta ink on it. Print anyway. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to, I'll print the registration marks on the acetate. And then we'll get to printing on the paper. So over here. This one I'm having to work backhanded on, which I don't like to do when I flood it, because I don't have a whole lot of space at the bottom. So I'm just going to do backhand it just to get it cleaned out. And there's the image on the acetate, but I forgot to take my tabs off. So those of you who are in the room, you can go ahead and take a look at that. Everything is starting to become pretty defined now. So I'm using I'm using this one, the particular print that had a lot of magenta on it. So it's really red, just to make sure that I have everything registered the right way. So if it's a throwaway print, then that's fine. I'm just getting it locked in, just really close. And I'll use my handles to get this set. So I'm putting the handles on just so that I can be really exact with how I'm maneuvering this image. The print.
You want a nice sleek deck, right? So to speak. Like as the layers on top of one another.
Right, you don't want them to be have a bad registration. So just to show you here, this is the acetate printed on top of it. All right. Now everything is in its place, so I need to put down the pins. Need to be really careful at this point while you're doing this. If you end up moving the paper, you feel the paper shift or the pins shift at all, start over, because it's going to be out of registration. And so just take another minute or two to get it lined up, because you won't be happy with the results after that.
So when in doubt.
Yeah, if you feel it, yes, and if you think it shifted at all, then take the time to re-register it. mine too. Felt like there's a kiss mark on there. Felt like the screen got stuck to the paper just a little bit, but I can't see it. So this is, all of a sudden it really pops out. Now I don't have to, I don't need these tabs anymore because everything is registered. And so it's just a real quick print. Put that in there, there we go. Now, that was the one that had a lot of red in it, a lot of magenta. This one is looking like the photograph it's supposed to be now. Take a look at the difference between these two here.
So that yellow shines through, just like.
Yeah, because this one had a second pull on the magenta, because I didn't think it had pulled through. This one is what it's supposed to look like, a white building, red sign. That parking lot is down by Angel's Flight, like down the hill. So Grand Central. In that space. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. Now I'm super excited about the direction of this. And you get to a point where you're looking at those and you're thinking, huh, do I really need to do black? Like, is it going, what happens if, wait, what? I say, you know, that's a decision you're going to have to make at that point. But I would encourage you to do at least one of them with the black on it, just to see if it adds to it. And then you can decide, nah, I don't need that black on top of it. It's dark enough. I've already done this morning. Because theoretically, I know how to do all this, but it's been a long time since I did it. So I wanted to come in early this morning. So I've already printed it. So I know that the black will, that I'm going to be happy that the black's on top of that. And here's the last one. Oh, I didn't flood coat that one. Shoot. This one is going to be, so I forgot to flood coat because I was so excited about that last print and talking about it that I did too much blue on this one and then it didn't get enough blue on around the corners. So this is going to be a throwaway. Like the one that had too much magenta on it. Get that one out of there too. I don't want that one floating around. All right. That's a bummer. Oh well. Now it's one last cleanup here. Definitely want to put my gloves on for this one though. Trying to work fast and it's not allowing me to do that. Oh yeah, my hands are. Okay. So again, I'll clean all the ink off. Return it back into the canister. Pull the ink down so it fills in those spots. so I don't get any of that ink to dry on the, dry in this mesh. I'm cleaning this. I can't remember if I said this or not, but the demo from Tuesday has been uploaded as well. So if you need to see that or watch that, interested in watching it again, you'll know where you can find it there. All right. The last set of cleanup, and then we'll get to that black. All right. All right. Pull the acetate up and tape that down. Gotta do just a little more cleaning right here. There's some blue ink still that I got underneath. I don't want that to go print on the black. Okay. Just got to turn around. Make sure I don't clean this off too. Almost forgot. And I've run out of paper towels. So I'm gonna have to go in the other room and grab some more in a sec here. What's that?
Baby wipes?
Baby wipes could work, I'm guessing.
Just wondering if it mess up the chemistry of the window.
No, I think it should be, I think it's fine. All right. Throwing that away, I should just keep it up here. There we go. So I've used this tape on these pins this whole time. Getting to that last set. So I only have one more thing to print. And it looks like they're going to last for that. Got some blue ink on the table though I need to clean off. There we go. Let's see how many times I reach back in for that. All right, go back. Okay. Just trying to remember where I'm at. I've got to change these pucks around. Then I need to get my prints. And this time I'm only printing 4 because 2 of them are so bad that I don't have going to fool around with them at all.
Like your losses.
Right, there's no sense in spending any time on them. It's got a little bit of blue, got a blue thumbprint on one of them. And then we're ready to start moving with the black. So get these tabs put on the back of this. Again, just making sure that they're stuck to the back side. Oh, it's going this way, so I need to turn this one over here. Put this one down here. Because when I rotated the screen, the images are upside down again. Put that up there like that. Put this underneath. That shape is starting to come loose though. There we go. And putting my tabs in, my pins into the tabs so that they're ready to be taped down as soon as I get everything put on there. So as I'm just moving this a little bit to get it close to where it needs to be before I print on top of it. Black ink all over myself.
Oh, it's not your loss.
This is, and when did I take my gloves off? And why did I take my gloves off? Trying to walk back in my steps here. When did that happen? So just pouring a little bit of black in. Scrape it in. Now. My glove had a hole in it. Okay. Now it's time to put that last color in. It's fairly dry. All right, so I'm just going to reach under like I have all these other times. Definitely need those to check out this detail work. And all right. Last time for this, you can see here, put the black down on top of it, and it really adds some depth to that image. Everything is in the space that it's supposed to be still. I'm going to tape those pins down. There we go. Get the plastic out of the way. And print. So I'm going to try to remember to do all the things I'm supposed to do. Like flood coat. Make sure there's paper underneath when I print, all that good stuff. There it is. It's process. This was set for 200. The image that I'm printing was set for, what did I say, 250 can't remember what I said earlier on.
245.
So this would be about, well, I could have gone to that, but I didn't. So when you're planning images here, just know that that's about, that one's off. But that's about as big as detailed as you're going to be able to get with this image right here, and then I'll take a photograph of it. Okay, so as I'm finishing up this very last print, any questions about this process? I should be able to get this posted tomorrow at some point. You can come back and rewatch it if you need to. But if there's no more questions, then I'm going to turn you all loose to do whatever it is that you need to do. So I'm going to need about 15 minutes to clean my stuff up, and then I can come out and help with whatever, wherever you're at, whether it's relief or screen printing, those things. And then people at home, just continue to work on your relief prints. Just remember that we're doing now everyday rotations every day. So you'll be here once a week. So I'll see you on Tuesdays, or I'll see you on Thursdays, whatever those days happen to be for you. And then also, if you have any questions, just go ahead. You can always send me an email. All right. Okay, so I don't want to hold the rest of you up. So you can go ahead and get started with your screen prints if you want to do that. I'll be able to help out here in just a couple minutes. All right. Okay, everyone at home, that's it for today.